Bienvenidos, damas y caballeros. Welcome back to Freeform Radio on the Freeform Network. Remember to send in those question suggestions, ffnquestions@gmail.com, and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Freeform Network. But again, this is Freeform Radio. I am one of your hosts. My name is Daniel. With me today is Andy.
It's all good, and we finally turned that corner on the weather. So it's spring, the spring equinox, or I don't know what the hell it's called. It's here, and we had a couple good days of nice weather. Now I went back to shit.
Right. Yeah, the weather has gotten better. Thank God, man. I was, even though winter wasn't terrible, we had a couple bad storms, but for the most part, it was a pretty mild winter, or at least in my opinion, it was. But I was glad that it looks like it's finally behind us, except for, like you mentioned, it got cold today for some reason. But I heard it's going to be in the 70s early next week or this Sunday or something like that. So, yeah, good to hear that the weather's getting better.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's good thing it's we had some. It was cold like usual January. There's a couple of days there it was really cold, but other than that, we did all right.
Yeah. At least that's my feeling because, yeah, when it gets really, really cold, I get worried about the piping in the house. I get worried if my car is going to turn on outside. But I didn't have too many of those dreaded days because for the most part, we stayed in the normal 30s, 20s, a couple teens, but not that bad. Nothing where it was like 20 below for like 4 days in a row kind of thing.
Yeah, man, it's manageable. Chicago winter.
Right, for sure. But yeah, speaking of the weather, man, it let me enjoy that weather because we did have a day that was like 66 or 68. So I went fishing. We actually drove up to the pond. There's one kind of nearby by us, like 20 minutes away. And actually, Junior's the one that brought it up and really wanted to go and check it out because I guess he didn't really have too many memories of fishing. And I told him, I'm like, I had actually, when we drove up there and we got there, I told him, I'm like, I brought you here once. I'm like, we got pictures from the last time we were here. And he's like, oh, I don't remember. And I'm like, yeah, we've come up here before. I don't know if you've ever fished up there, Andy. It's a little north of Higgins. I forget what the next major road. Yeah, a little past north of Rosemont, or it might be Rosemont, that hood there.
It's not River Road and like
I mean, it's on
Higgins or something, right?
Yeah, it's on River Road, but not Higgins. The next big light or the big light after that. I forget what the name of the road is. My wife remembers. I think it's like Tui or something like that.
Right.
And yeah, the fishing pond is right there. I haven't really had too much success fishing there, but it's a pretty chill area, especially with COVID still kind of being in the picture. I wanted to make sure it gets something that wasn't going to be too populated with a ton of people. So, yeah, it ended up working out great. We got there and there were a few people kind of scattered around, but we parked, we found a spot and just chilled out and did some fishing, man. So the weather cooperated. Junior got to cast his reel a few times. He catched a tree once, and then he caught a couple branches on the edge of the pond, but. No, man, it was a good time, man.
So, what did you guys use for bait? I mean, if he caught a couple of trees, I mean, what did he use for bait, or what did you use? Did you use worms, corn, meat?
No, since it was kind of like a last minute thing, it was kind of like the spur of the moment. Hey, Daddy, fishing, this and that, and I'm like, wow, it's a nice day. You want to go right now? And then we just kind of pulled out and took off. But we did have like those fake worm plastic things that you put on your hook and then it kind of swirls around a little bit. So we ended up using those, even though those are for like bigger fish, and whatever's in that pond is going to be little small bluegill kind of stuff. And I think it would be too big for those kind of fish. But we used it anyways. I didn't burst his bubble and kind of tell him, yeah, the chances of us catching anything with this is zero. But we cast it out a few times. And I like fishing, but it's not like a huge like desire for me. It's more like it's cool when we go camping and do it, so you can kind of chill back on your chair, have a smoke, and just kind of, throw out the cast and just have a beer and chill back and, just not really concentrate on it too much. It's more like the background kind of thing that you're doing while you're there drinking a beer.
So
But
when you were fishing, then did you have a beer in like in a brown bag? Were you that guy? Were you that dad?
no, no, not this time. Like I mentioned, we kind of did it last minute. We really didn't take too much other than the tackle box that we usually use. We had two fishing poles, and then I took a chair for Alana just in case she, felt like sitting down. And when we got up there, Junior saw me setting up the chair, and he's like, "Oh, you brought chairs?" And I'm like, "No, I brought one chair." And he's just like, "Oh man, where am I gonna sit?" And I'm like, "I don't know." I'm like, "You didn't think about bringing a chair?" And he's just like, "No, I didn't." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I guess you're standing." And then I told him, I'm like, "The chair's not even for me. I brought it for Mama. It's not even for me." And so Alana sat down for a minute, but then she felt guilty, so gave it to Junior, and he ended up sitting down on it for the majority of the time. But it was cool, man. It was cool going out there, spending some time. I didn't think we were gonna be out there for too long. We were out there for like maybe 2 hours, and then
Wow.
finally, I was just like, "Hey, bud, we got to get going," And so we ended up taking off and coming back home. But it was a good time, man. We might go do it again maybe this weekend, since we're expecting I think 70s on Sunday, so we might head up there again and kind of just goof around, maybe be a little more prepared.
Yeah, that's a really nice spot there for fishing. My dad used to take me there. If it's the one in Rosemont, I mean, there's only one in Rosemont where it's like I want to say it's like Axehead Lake or something. That's the name that
Right.
keeps popping in my head.
I think
And
so. I think that's
there's
right.
two entrances, one like in the back and one on the side.
Right.
But it's a pretty nice spot to catch a lot of bluegills. And then I know they used to when you walk into like the forest preserve in the back, there's like a lot of creeks or something back there. And I've gone fishing back there, and I've seen some pretty big like freaking catfish back in there. When I was a kid, I don't know if that's still the case, but and you also see a lot of deer around there and that man-made lake.
You know what I saw a lot of, and I was telling Alana, I'm like, it kind of creeps me out, but those a lot of people just parked in
Yeah.
the forest preserve
Yes.
in their
In the
cars.
car. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just like, what the hell's going on? Are these guys jerking off? What are they doing here?
That's the
Just
norm. Yeah.
just sitting there. And I'm like, are they drunks? Are they like, pedophiles and just creeping on kids? I'm like, I don't get it. I'm like, why would you come to the forest preserve lake there, park, and then just sit in your car and then park backwards so that you're staring at people, staring at the lake?
Yes.
It weirded me out a little bit.
It's been like that since I was a kid, and then when I was a kid, you saw a lot of dudes in fucking cars, like you said, backed in, right, to see everything.
Right. Uh-huh.
They're not like going looking into the forest preserve or into the lake. They're
Right.
backed in. You used to see a lot of like guys, and then you would see the biker people, like a lot of bikes just there, and guys with their old ladies drinking. And then you used to see like dudes would get off and like walk into like so when if, on this other side of the forest preserve there was more of a picnic area and there was like a
Yeah.
bathroom there. You used to see a lot of dudes walking there when I was a kid. I'm like, man, I think I'm gonna go piss in the forest preserve because it's creepy in there. Then as a child, I remember I even noticing that as a kid because it was fucking weird. And you always like you had like a you're always on like alert or a spidey sense because yes, there's a lot of guys just parked there, just fucking staring, and I think a lot of them are drunks, or
That
they're meeting up dudes or something.
right? It kept flashing back to me. I don't know if you've seen the movie Something About Mary,
A
but
long time ago, yeah.
right. But there's a scene where he goes to like one of those rest areas to go pee or something, and then like the cops start flashing their lights, and then you just see all these gay dudes just poke up their heads, and they're just
Yeah.
like, "Oh shit, it's a raid," and they start trying to take off. That scene popped in my head a little bit when I was there. My spidey sense was always on. I was always looking around. Even though I was fishing, I would never keep my back to the parking lot for too long. I would turn around. And now I'm making this place sound kind of, disgusting, and maybe people aren't going to
There,
want to go
to
there.
be fair, there is a lot of family because you got to understand where it's located. People, it's off a big highway. It's
Right.
close to the city. There's a lot of like, I mean, you're literally about 15 minutes away from the city. So a lot of people and it's drive there to go fishing or go hang out with the day with their family and take a little grill or a picnic. It is a lot of it does get popular. A lot of people go there.
Right. And there were people grilling. There was a couple
Yeah.
families that there was a guy and his girlfriend on a pickup, and then they kind of set up like a picnic tablecloth thing on the bed of their truck, and they were just eating there, kind of chilling, not by there. And there was a lot of families, dogs, so it was a good family atmosphere. But I did notice the parked cars, so I was just like, this is kind of weird, but whatever. For the most part, it was a good time. I did keep my spidey sense, like you said, Andy, but I did enjoy it, and it wasn't really too big of a deal for me. Enjoyed the time and the weather.
Now, did you guys stay in that one spot or did you do the customary walk around the whole lake?
No, no, I didn't do any kind of walking around. I just kind of enjoyed my time there, and then I didn't really expect that we were going to be there that long. Like I said, we really didn't come prepared. I was thinking of bringing corn because usually that picks up bluegills pretty good.
Yeah.
Um, but I wouldn't have even a chance for that because it was like noonish, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I didn't want it to get super late. So we're like, if we're gonna go, we got to go now. And he was just like, yeah, let's go. So we just took off and went. But yeah, if we ended up going this Sunday, we'd probably be a little more prepared and take some more gear so we can maybe enjoy ourselves, maybe take a couple snacks and be able to eat something while we're chilling there waiting. But the only other thing I really had going on is I finally got my first COVID shot for the vaccine. And I know a lot of people aren't really keen on getting the vaccine, but I guess I finally decided I'm gonna do it just to prevent. I mean, I am diabetic. I'm not the thinnest of guys here, so I'm concerned for my health, and I'm also concerned for my family's health. Me getting COVID and then maybe spreading it to my family, so I decided to go get my first shot, and I was surprised how much military presence there was there. That it was kind of different. It wasn't what I was expecting. I don't know if you got in your shot, Andy, or if you even want to mention that.
Yeah, I got my shot after reluctantly not I was on the I'm not gonna take it people for a while and then I mean yeah, I mean I just know down the road with this administration they're gonna make it rather difficult for people who don't have it. They can't make you, but they're gonna be like, "Oh, you don't have this. Go over there." It's gonna be rather difficult for you to enjoy the things that you used to do. I believe
Yeah, I think so.
with the way things are, and like a couple states down south might not make you, but if you see what traveling, if you're like a big traveler, I mean, they're making people uh, get COVID tests before you even jump on a plane. So, I mean, imagine that's probably going to be continuing going on if you don't have the vaccine. But yeah, I got it. I didn't go to one of the mass vaccination sites. I went to a pharmacy. The only thing that caught my eye, there was a lot of young people there. There was six people waiting, and I would say three of them were like in their 20s, and there was me, an older gentleman, and an older lady.
Right. There were a few people in their 30s, I would assume, but the majority were older people, like people that I assumed were in 50s, 60s, kind of thing. Uh, But yeah, there was the military was running the whole thing. There was all these people in fatigues, and then I'm like, I wonder if they're like just National Guard, kind of like
Yeah, it's National
not.
Guard.
Well, that's what I thought. I assumed they were like National Guard, not that they're part-time army, but that they're not like legit like in the army all the time. But I asked like two of them while I was there waiting in line. I'm like, hey, so are you in the National Guard or what member are you in? And he's just like, no, I'm in the army. I've been in the army for 10 years. So I'm like, wow, this is legit army people. This isn't just some guy that's, my neighbor that's part of the National Guard and he's, serving. So I'm just like, wow, this is legit military stuff here. I didn't
So
expect that.
if it was your neighbor, you're like, fuck this, I'm not getting it.
No, it made it look a lot more serious than I was expecting.
So did that
Not
make you more comfortable, or that was just like, oh shit, like there ain't no fucking around?
it did make me feel a little more comfortable, like this is real kind of thing. Like this isn't just some Joe Schmo guy. But then that kind of went away a little bit when I saw one of the army guys kind of macking it to the nurse, one of the nurses.
It's like, hey
He was like
girl.
he was like there trying to slip into her DMs, and it's just like, hey, what's up, girl? Yeah, this and that. And I was just like, man, this guy's trying to like ask this girl out, like, all in front of here. It's just like, dude, just wait for your commander to come by and be like, hey, what the hell are you doing, man? You're supposed to be
At
guarding
ease,
this doorway.
soldier.
Right.
My training commands me to holler at this girl.
Uh-huh. But yeah, it was pretty cool. Got my first shot, and I felt a little tired the next day, but other than that, and my arm being a little sore, thank God I went through without any kind of real side effects or any issues. We'll see how that second shot goes because I've heard that the second shot is the one that, for the most part, does give you some more issues. So, or more like flu-like symptoms when you take that second shot. So, hopefully that's not the case, and it just goes by just like the first one. But yeah, man, got my shot, feeling a little better, feeling a little more prepared. My wife's also, she did her first shot. She's actually scheduled to get her second one tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes, and hopefully she deals with it well as well, and doesn't really have too many other issues. But yeah, man, not too much else for my week, just kind of the usual stuff. Um, just spending time at home. Luckily, I'm working from home right now. There was like a couple of people that had gotten COVID, so the boss is like, yeah, if you want to go home and work from home, if you're feeling symptoms, let us know so that we can, so you can get tested or whatever. But yeah, I came home, felt fine, and got my first shot. So, thank God I'm at home and not too much at risk right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's you know, it's it's still kind of, I don't want to say scary, but yeah, the numbers have leveled off some, but it's still, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. I guess you can't harm nobody for being protective of what's, because we got some mutual friends, and I asked them when they're going to back. They've been at home since last year, and he's talking about they ain't going back till the fall, and I'm just like, holy shit, like that's a year plus working from home.
Right. I did read this morning that our positivity rate, or whatever that number that they keep spitting out, it actually went up a couple percentage points um, over the weekend. I guess last week we were in the like low threes or like high twos or something like that, and now we're back up to like 3.9, so we're kind of close to four. So there was an uptick, and then I also saw something else on another news feed that Biden was, or President Biden was asking the governors to keep the mask mandates, because there are some states that pulled up on the mask mandates and said it's not required. If you feel comfortable, go ahead and wear it, but you don't need to wear it, kind of thing. And I guess he's worried that we might have like a mini surge of people getting infected, even though it looks like a lot of people are getting vaccinated. And I know Biden was hoping for, I forget what it was, 3 million people to get vaccinated within his first 100 days of office. And it looks like he's on track to do that. So um, I don't know. I don't know if people are getting fatigued, and maybe with the vaccinations, people are getting comfortable, and maybe that's causing a little bit of a surge. But hopefully, that's
People
not the case.
are people are cooped up, man. They're this even with the vaccine. I predict Memorial Day, people are gonna go fucking crazy. You're gonna see all people on the road going somewhere. It's gonna be fucking nuts with even with one people with the two-shot vaccines and I think they've had enough. I mean, they had enough. They're like, we're going fucking places. I don't care, fuck it. And then getting back to the states that are not wearing masks. I know everybody's shitting on Florida in Texas. I think Florida, their numbers have been kind of same. I mean, with the latest shit that I read. I mean, but and then Texas is actually their the last 2 weeks their numbers have gone down since they lifted the mask. And but I know everybody's picking on Florida because the
Right.
governor is a little bit more vocal. And I saw something today that they were he uh, they're trying to say that they're covering up the numbers or something. But who fucking knows? I mean, at this point, I think people are a little just like fuck. I don't believe nothing. Like CNN did that like mini news thing on them real quick, and they had Fauci and Bricks, and people started attacking Bricks, saying it's her fault that she didn't get into President Trump's ear more. And Fauci, he, I'm not a big fan of Fauci, but there was some stuff going out that, you know, they even admitted a little bit that she admitted that the first surge, there was nothing you couldn't do, the first initial deaths, but after that, there's stuff that could have been done to mitigate the deaths. But there wasn't I forgot the word she said, search it, but yeah, she was saying that people weren't really following what they were recommending.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. I mean, it's kind of like I've always told you, Andy. When this thing first hit, they were looking for anything. People were grasping for any kind of answers, and any answers on the onset of this starting were going to be at best a good guess. So I think a lot of it was people just knee jerk reaction. And once it kind of settled in a little bit, that's when you got more educated conversation about it and to maybe things to do. But you know what I didn't kind of hear in all of this COVID, the whole thing we've been dealing with? I haven't really heard too much about being healthy and, taking vitamins, getting enough sun, being active, have a good diet. I didn't really hear much of any of that. And I hear that you're actually trying to be more active. Why don't you fill us in on what you've been doing, man?
So yeah, I mean, part of it, like you said, the pandemic. I think they released. I'm not trying to bog you down with fucking numbers, but 80% of all COVID victims. All right, let me clarify that. I saw on Twitter the other day they found out 80% of the people who were hospitalized because of COVID, they had two factors, or one big factor. They were overweight or obese. That was like they noticed that immediately. So, um, and so I mean that goes to show you, like looking at data and metrics, like kind of stuff that it was kind of talked about, but people just brushed it aside because they were freaked out. Because come on, America, we love to fucking eat and shit like that. So, um, it is what it is. But me taking that, I've talked about here in my past about my weight loss. Twice I've lost over 100 pounds in weight. I mean, I've kind of the last run. It was I did little to no exercise, and I was just mostly about eating right. But that becomes challenging when you get a restrictive diet, and so right now I'm trying to balance all that. So with the better weather that we had recently, I've done a lot more walking. So like my goal is try to walk like daily, like about 3 miles around my area, weather permitting. Because like that's what I said yesterday, Monday, and this Monday, Tuesday of this week. Is the day of recording. It's Wednesday. We had pretty decent weather. It was a little windy, but I walked around my area for like a full hour. I walked about maybe 3.5 miles each day, and then last week I walked a couple times too, weather permitting. It rained, so I couldn't get as much as I wanted to. And then today kind of sucked. Usually I would get home from work and jump, start walking and then trying to watch what I eat. And I mean, the scale is going to reflect some of that, uh, the losing weight. So I mean, over long term, it's not gonna happen overnight. The weight loss, because it doesn't come on overnight. So it's just trying to be more active, take advantage of the better weather, and I encourage all our listeners to do that. I mean, we've been cooped up for a fucking year. I mean, ordering takeout and all this other shit. Just go out there, fucking walk, take a fish. That's why I said, did you guys walk around the lake? Because right now, that's my big thing, just trying to get as many fucking steps as I can. Even when we go to the grocery store, I'll try to park all the way in the fucking back and get a walk. So
Yeah.
just to increase the steps,
Yeah, I did notice there were people there, like walking around the lake area. So there are people with that same mindset, and it is good to hear that that you're incorporating exercise a little back into it, because, like you mentioned, that first big weight loss that you did, at least a little bit that I know of, it seemed like you were working out a lot. You were doing a ton of cardio, ton of exercise, and then that second loss that you had, it was like almost all diet. So hopefully, like you mentioned, this is a little bit of balance of both, and maybe you'll continue the success that you've had.
Yeah, man, it's hard. It's unfortunately I know Noel in the past has talked about, he's kind of brought it up about your blood type. If
Oh,
you
you're one
get
of those
you
guys?
Well, I mean, there is a science to it. I've heard it
Right.
from different people, and then I found the book on it at our local library. They had a book sale, and I went over there, and my wife went to the health section, and she found the book about how your blood type. If you know what blood type are, it could help you. What kind of diets? I mean, it could figure out what foods you can eat to make you
Right.
not gain weight and all this shit. And I read some of it. I just don't know my blood type, but I did read into it and I researched it a little bit, and there is some science to that. So you know, maybe next time we talk to Noel, he could kind of bring it up. Because I think Noel mentioned he has some super rare fucking Aztec blood or something.
Right.
So, but and I know he goes through his little moments and stuff about weight loss and eating right and all that. So he kind of knows about it, and he kind of opened my eyes to supplements and vitamins, which I'm kind of a big proponent of the last couple of years because they do help. The one a days, you take some of that shit. It has a lot of the vitamins, 100% or more or less, like for shit that you need, like zinc, vitamin D3, all that magnesium, all that shit that helps build your immune system and your heart stuff.
Right.
I take some other stuff for your heart. So I mean, I'm not saying it's like a cure all, but it does fucking help. And long term, all I could do is just help your body build up some immune. And I mean, that's all we could do. Like I said, I've trying to losing weight is easy. The hard part for me, my whole adult life, is just managing it to keep off, because you go through these cycles, and your life struggles and stresses, and even when you're celebrating, you just in America, what do? We fucking eat for all three. You're
Right.
stressing, or you're celebrating, or you're fucking sad. There's always food involved. So, like I said, it's something you got to learn to make better decisions on, and I haven't really been the best at it in my adult life. But once in a while, when I put I figure the shit out, and you see results, it encourages you to to keep doing what you're doing.
Right. So you mentioned you didn't know your blood type. Do you tend to find out what your blood type is?
I don't know. Maybe next time I get my physical. That's another thing. Since I've been married, my wife makes me get a physical. I should ask to find out what the fuck my blood type is. I mean, I pay for it. So, um, I don't
You
know.
know,
I mean, like I said, I read a lot of stuff on it, and it tells you what you can eat. I mean, what kind of foods and all this stuff. So, I mean, and I've heard it from numerous different people talk about it, and they swear that it works. And I've seen some people talk about it on YouTube.
right. I think there's some validity to it, but just like everything, there are people that are exceptions to those rules. I actually tried to find out my blood type too because I don't know what it is either. And I asked my doctor, this is maybe a year ago. I'm like, hey, can I find out what blood type I am? And he's like, oh, don't tell me you're want to know your blood type. So if there's an accident, you can tell the ambulance and be like, I'm blood type, A positive. He's like, they're not going to take your word for it. And I'm just like, no, 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 I don't want that. I'm like, I just
That's an
want to know.
interesting take.
Right. And I was just like, wow, there's people out there that'll spit out and be like, yeah, I'm A negative, put A negative into me. And he was kind of he went on into a tangent. He kept talking about how there are people like that, but that there is no medical facility that will just give you blood based on what you say. They always do a blood type test before they get any blood into your body, which does delay you getting blood, while they do that test. But he's just like, it's very minimum the time in between there. But anyways, I asked him, and I'm like, no, I just want to know about my health and this and that. And he kind of went on and on about, it's not really that great of an idea to know your blood type. And at the end, he kind of convinced me. I was just like, all right, forget it. Don't worry about it. Just do all the regular cholesterol and all the rest of the stuff you got to do. So maybe I'll bring it up to him again. I'm kind of curious to find out what I
Or like,
have.
listen, doc, just tell me the blood type. Doesn't it
Right.
irk you that he knows and you don't then?
I'm sure it's in the chart somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's Noel brought it up at one time, and I brought that up to my wife. I'm like, look doesn't this sound ridiculous? She's like, no, I've heard about it too. And then I'm like, what? And then I did some research on it, and I talked to some other people about it, and yeah, they a lot of people swear by it. So I mean, and I saw some YouTube videos. I really didn't see no videos people saying it's bullshit, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, if you guys have tried it or living that lifestyle of, blood type and what type of diet you have, let us know what you guys think about it at ffnquestions@gmail.com. We'd like to hear about it, or somebody who experienced it, yay or
Right.
nay. And, that'd be an interesting take, because we're always willing to hear about new experiences. Just
I
like,
did before you change. I did hear some research based on COVID severities based on blood type as well. So I'm kind of curious to see how that transpires in the future. More evidence as far as what blood types were more susceptible
it's all
to
it's
COVID.
all it's all about data, man. You got to just look at the numbers and process it, and and just break it down. I mean, but there's a lot of people are just like, people died. Oh, yeah, people die every day from accidents and this and other shit. So it's just, you gotta look at the data, man. But like you were talking about, like when you got your COVID vaccine, I also went in when I got my vaccine, the first shot. I was trying to talk to the nurse that was giving us the shot, but she was too busy running around. It was crazy. I'm like, man, how's your day going? And she's just like scrambling. She had all these needles in her hand, and she was just like rushing through everything. I'm like, damn, man, this woman don't want to stop and smell the roses.
I don't know if you've noticed. I pointed it out to Alana. She thinks I'm crazy, but in the news when they're doing that, like reel of just footage playing in the background while they're talking, I've noticed that on a few of these needle injections when they're injecting people, that it looks like a fake needle, dude. They inject it into the body, and then after they inject it, they kind of like sweep away from the body, and I'm like, it doesn't even look like they're pulling the needle out. It almost looks like they're going against the skin in a direction that would not be possible if you're injecting a 3-4 inch needle into the person's arm. So it looks really, really weird, and
Yeah,
I've seen a couple footage like that.
I didn't see. This is how fast it happened. I got in there. I was trying to talk to her, and I was looking at the wall, and she started rambling on about something, and I was just like, She left some paperwork because I was getting my left arm on the right, and there was a desk. I was reading it, and then she was just rambling on about blah blah blah. Like, she's like, you might feel a sharp pain, and next thing you know, she fucking pricks me, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, she did it that quick. She wiped it down, and then she puts the band-aid on me, and she's like, all right, you're done. You don't feel, wait 15 minutes and you can leave. And I'm just like, I'll go wait outside in at the pharmacy. And I'm like, what? And next, and as soon as she opened the door, she was already calling the next name. And I'm just like, damn, man, fucking, like, and like you said, I saw the needles. Not that I saw that the only thing that caught my eye, they had these like, orange like cap thing sticking off to the side. Did you see that? Like,
yeah, that's like a safety guard, so that
yeah.
when they're done, they flip it over so that they don't.
I've never seen
double
that
inject you.
any of the needles. Yeah, that's the only thing that I noticed when she walked in, because she had like 5 or 6 of those fucking things in her hand, and I'm just like, oh, okay. And then, but that's about it. I mean, but she was in such a rush that she wasn't there to socialize.
Yeah, if you watch the news, I know there's a few people that don't even like watching the news anymore. But if you watch the news, when they're talking about COVID numbers and whatnot, look at that booked footage that they're playing, and
the B-roll.
Yeah, that's right. That's what it's called, B-roll. Some of it, dude, it looks fake. It looks like they're not even they're like pushing onto the skin, and then they're just like sweeping away. And I'm like, there's no way. You got to pull out the needle. There's no way you could sweep like that without pulling out the needle. And it just looks weird. And my wife thinks I'm crazy.
Dan, there's a lot of crazy people that have been right. So, I mean, early in the pandemic, I remember seeing they caught, allegedly, CBS News using some footage of a hospital in New York. As some internet sleuths said, this is the same footage that they were showing that was going on in Italy. Like this room full of people on ventilators, and I don't know if they ever admitted it or something, but it got around on the social media that they were using the same footage. That was early in the pandemic when Italy got hit hard early on.
Right. It could be that this isn't. Yeah, it could be that these aren't even COVID shots. That they're just people getting shots. Period, from some B-roll that they took 20 years ago, kind of thing. So I'm not saying that they're giving fake COVID shots, but when I watch it on the news, it just looks weird. I'm always looking at it now. And then, sometimes I'll be like, look, Alana, see? And then by the time she looks, it's like done. And I'm just like, shit. I'm like, man, I know I'm not crazy. I see it.
Yeah, there's little things that you notice, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy times. Who fucking knows? But the other thing with some of the downtime, I've been rewatching the Hunger Games. I bought the DVD set. Amazon had a sale. I paid $10 for the Blu-ray, and they had all 4 movies. And I watched the first two more than once. The third one I've only seen once, and I rewatched it last weekend, and I forgot the ending was kind of fucking. I mean, it gets a little violent, man. It's I don't know if you've seen it or not, Dan.
I haven't seen the third one. The last one I saw, it had Woody Harrison in it.
Yeah,
That was the
he's in the third. He's in the first three. I haven't seen the fourth one in a while. I might watch it soon, but I rewatched the first three movies, and like I said, the third one I was watching it, and I was just like, man, this is kind of fucking violent, and there's torturing people, and they're bombing fucking cities, and I'm like, every time I watch these movies, I'm like, this was like a kid's book. And I'm just like, man, this is pretty. My wife's like, it's not a kid's book, it's young adult. I'm like, it's the same shit. Young adults, just teenagers. They're still kids, and it's so fucking violent.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I seen it. I vaguely remember it. I think the last one I saw. They were on some train going to some city, and then there was a bunch of people like training, like some like these athletic people, and there was like
the
cliques.
actual Hunger Game. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like the third one, there was like all this like guerrilla warfare. They're blowing up dams, like people doing suicide, like missions and stuff, and suicide bombing stuff. And I'm just like, wow, man, this is fucking violent, man. Like, there's like mass murders going on, and it was just like it took a really dark turn. I guess that's what I'm saying. And I didn't, like I said, I haven't seen the third one in like a long time. And then when I rewatched it, I was watching it, and my wife was there watching it with me too. And I'm just like, wow, like this is dark. And that was and I remember, like I said, when it first came out, I'm like, this is a kid's fucking book. Even the first one had some bloody moments where they're cracking necks and shit, these kids, and then it turned and morphed into this like war, this civil war that's going on right now. And I was just like, this is insane, you know? And like it's just the ending where spoilers here, the PETA beats the shit out of Katniss. Like that was a fucking violent ass whooping he gave her, and I was just like, damn. And I was like, I was fucking kind of shocked. I remember that ass whooping, but rewatching it, I was like, damn, man, he fucking completely messed her up.
It was like Passion of Christ kind of stuff, or what?
Nah, man, I haven't seen that movie in a long time. And with Easter coming up, I don't know. I don't know if I should rewatch it. It's been so long. It's between that and the Ten Commandments, right? So like, who still watches TV still? Because usually they run the ABC used to run the Ten Commandments around Palm Sunday. So for Passover and stuff,
right.
And I mean, which is a classic. I don't know, people shit on Charlton Heston because he was a president of the NRA for a while. But Charlton Heston is a great American actor, and he fucked up a lot of people, especially monkeys, in Planet of the Apes.
Right.
And he's Moses, and he's Omega Man. He fought in the future. He's been in a lot of sci-fi movies, but Ten Commandments, I mean, it's a solid fucking movie, with Yul Brynner.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in years, man. Usually my go-tos for Easter are Jesus of Nazareth.
That's another classic, dude. Yeah.
And the Passion of the Christ. Those are usually the two that I watch, but yeah, I haven't seen Ten Commandments in a while. Maybe I'll watch that this Passover. Because like
Jesus
you said
of
right
Nazareth the first time I saw that, we had cable, and when we had the History Channel came out, they played it a lot. Right. I remember
that's a long movie too, man.
It was a miniseries, and I'm just like, when I see that Jesus, the actor who played Jesus in that movie, in that miniseries, that's how I imagine Jesus looked like. Because that's what he looked around the pictures of Jesus my mom had around the house. He looked just like him.
I think
I think that's one of those movies that I like so much because that's the Jesus I grew up around in the house.
I'm the same way, man. honestly, I don't think Jesus looks like
I'm
any of
pretty
the
sure he didn't look
pictures.
like that. Yeah.
Right. I'm pretty sure that he doesn't look like any of them. And I saw a good documentary on that. But to what you're speaking, that is my childhood. That's the way I remember him. I seen tons of pictures in my family's house. And that's the Jesus that everybody relates to, that Jesus of Nazareth.
And like, yeah, I'm like, oh, Jesus was British. He had a British accent. Interesting, right? And then, so yeah, that's why I was just like, when I first watched it on, and I remember seeing the miniseries early on the History Channel. I'm like, I think I liked it so much because, like, yeah, he looks like the Jesus that I saw around my house and all the pictures and stuff, and that's exactly what I
Right.
saw on the screen.
No, yeah, for sure, man. I totally relate to that because I was the same way.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, let us know what you guys watch during Easter or Passover. What do you what kind of movies you watch? Yeah, it is a holiday season. It's not about the Easter Bunny, even though he's trying to get his 15 minutes of fame in there. But let us know what you guys watch at ffnquestions@gmail.com. But getting into talking about a super a higher being here, we're gonna talk about that rolls us into our article of the week. So we were just talking about Jesus. There's a lot of stuff about Jesus being a higher being, but our article of the week takes us into one of my favorite articles, or one of my favorite topics is UFOs. This is from the DailyMail.com. They report swarms of flashing Tic-Tac shaped UFOs chased 4 U.S. Navy destroyers off the California coast at 45 miles per hour and hovered above them at night for weeks. A lot of ship logs reveal, and once you delve into the article, they kind of make it sound like they're drones. That's what the Navy was kind of pushing at, but some people came out and say they can't be drones because they can't. Drones don't really move like that,
Right.
and they go the drones or UAVs were able to travel long distances at high speeds with extreme maneuverability. Seamen on board the destroyers reported seeing multiple drones and flashing red and white lights. And a UFO spotter said the drones were Tic-Tac shaped UFOs, which, a couple years ago, they released the Tic-Tac videos, those famous videos that went viral I believe, on the New York Post or the New York Times, New York Times, and they released multiple UFOs, and those things were fast as hell. I mean, till this day, people still talk about that. They had the head of the FBI and the Navy involved in the investigation, but as soon as they couldn't figure it out, they hushed it up. And the area is home to a large naval base. In the same area, another infamous UFO sighting in 2004. So California has been known to have a lot of UFO activity. But it brought me to the article. It happened over a long period of time, and it happened to many different ships, and more than one people reported it. And then they did have investigators come out, and then they really kind of stopped talking about it. So, I mean, I don't know what you think, Danny. I don't know if you're into this drone theory. I mean, it can be a possibility, but if the Navy hushed up about it, so that to me that means it's either UFOs or some like foreign technology that they don't want us to talk about, i.e., Chinese, Russian, or something like that. Because they don't want to say we can't shoot these fuckers down especially if it's Chinese.
That's my feeling, and this all transpired, and it's probably still going on. But this article is concerning July 2019, so this is a minute ago that this happened. But I got a feeling it is something like that. It's some technology, some international technology along the California coast, and I got a feeling like it was something like that. It was something where some kind of drone, some kind of craft that allows it to maneuver in this fashion. And you mentioned TikTok videos. I kind of quickly searched, and maybe I just didn't do enough of it, but I searched for TikTok vehicles because I'm like, what does a TikTok vehicle
Yeah,
look like? I'm like, I couldn't picture it in my head. And
Tic-Tac,
oh,
like the
TikTok, I'm
Tic-Tac
sorry.
mint. That's the shape that they're describing. That's
Oh,
what they look at. That
I
makes
was
sense to you?
thinking, tic tac toe, and I'm like, what the hell does a
No.
tic tac toe
No.
shape look like? Oh, so like a breath mint,
Yeah, that
like
the
that. So like
shape
a
of
capsule.
that's what the UFO the
Ah,
Tic Tac video that they talk about. It looks like that, like of a Tic Tac, and more videos or have been coming out, and that's the big one. I mean, the article kind of talks about it. That goes, a Navy vet said to his friend he could see them with the naked eye, and they were almost eye level with the bridge hovering. They were the same tic tac shaped objects. This is the same area where the Nimitz encounters took place. That's the famous one where they had the tic tac was at the with the USS Nimitz, and that's the video that you see everywhere with the jets or the recording. It's a black and white like video, but that's what they're going off of.
okay, that makes a lot more sense. I was thinking like the hashtag symbol, like the tic tac toe, and
No, no,
I'm like,
no, no.
how's the ship even look like this? And I even asked my wife because she was asking us what article you're gonna read, and I let her see the header, and she's just like, what does a tic tac toe shape look like? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm thinking like a hashtag. I don't. I guess it was a hashtag flying through the sky, but I have no idea what that shape even looks like. But yeah, now it makes more sense. But I guess back to the article, I'm still thinking that this is some kind of technology or some kind of drone or some kind of something that's foreign, but it is of our world. It's just technology that they can't really speak upon. Maybe it is China, maybe it's North Korea, maybe it's something else like that. I don't believe that it's really UFOs, even though I do believe that there is the possibility of UFOs. I mean, we were just talking about Jesus and God and all that. He doesn't explicitly say that he didn't create, and there's a lot of things that he doesn't explicitly say, like I created an ant, I created, this. He does mention a few animals, but there's a possibility that he created aliens in the far off galaxies, and that's part of his ultimate creation. And it could be that they exist. I just don't think that this particular situation was that. I've seen some drones go pretty fast, man. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the ones that I've seen are commercial, so I mean, it's not something industrial or any kind of badass ones. So I can't imagine it going this fast because they were saying it was um, going 45 miles per hour. So that is pretty fast. I mean, 45 miles is pretty fast. So I I don't know. Maybe it was UFOs. I still don't really believe that it was.
Well, one of the things that like brought me or it got my attention of the article. I heard some other people talk about it, but the California coast has a long history of UFO activity down to like World War II. You know, the Battle of LA, where
Yeah,
they were
they
they were
fired into
firing the
this.
guns and
Yeah,
stuff into the air, and like that famous picture, you kind of see like a triangle or something, and
right.
like explosions going off down to some other coastal areas, Southern California, UFOs going into the water and stuff like that. Then now, the Nimitz, this one, and you remember, I want to say under Obama, it might have been Obama or late Bush. There was do you remember there was a missile that came out of the water,
Yeah,
and
there was videos
that was
of
in California, and they
right.
were saying the US wasn't saying it was them, or and then they were thinking it was Chinese or something, and like and they just kind of hushed it under the tape, they got everybody shut up about it. That was never really explained. I've seen some stuff on it. People said that they were shooting into a UFO or some goofy shit. I mean, I've seen a lot of theories on that.
Right. I even heard and saw some things that it was a UFO shooting out of the water. There's something that was nautical. It was in the water somewhere, and some kind of spacecraft is what shot out of
Yes.
the California coast.
That's what I'm saying. The California coast does have a lot. I've seen some documentaries on UFOs, and a lot of it has taken place off the Pacific Ocean in California, the coast, and I don't know what to make of it. But reading the article, I'm convinced because it happened over numerous nights, and it hovered. What I'm shocked is the only thing where to me it's a red flag if you have something hovering over your battleships and you guys don't shoot it down, or I don't see any attempt of them shooting it down. That's the only thing. Like, okay, so what the hell's going on? That's my only thing. Where my instinct, if I was the captain or the admiral, be like, shoot this motherfucker down. Like, I don't want it nowhere near the ship. Who knows what the fuck it could be doing?
Right. I guess that's kind of true too. If you thought it was some kind of international spacecraft that's over your air, space, I guess there would be the lenience to want to fire on it and shoot it down. Or
Or I
maybe
don't
they
know.
were
That's like an old way of thinking now. I mean, I don't fucking know. With the back in the day, I feel like the old military guard would have shot that shit down quickly. But today, I don't know if they're trained to do something different or something to that, like assess and then shoot it down. But if you don't know what it is and it's hovering over you, like, wouldn't your training tell you to shoot it down?
right, right. Maybe they didn't want to start some kind of international issue with, a possible other agency. You never know. It might even be like CIA or some other organization that's not affiliated with the Navy, and they were testing something. There's all types of possibilities. Sometimes you don't know. The left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, so it might have been something even U.S., but some other organization.
Yeah, it's like I said, the UFO stuff's always intrigued me. My wife thinks it's all garbage. I don't know what your wife thinks, but she's like, this is all BS. And it's always intrigued me as a child, and to this day, I mean, we had that article where the big CIA dump from the Black Vault, they got some stuff
Right.
out there. I mean, stuff's trickling out, and hopefully one down. I mean, I don't know in America particularly if we need the government to come out and say like yes UFOs exist. I don't know if you need that validation or you just like if it does it's cool, if not who cares. But there's a lot of people to this day, especially older people, who feel like they would feel when as soon as the government says UFOs exist and aliens are real, that's gonna be like their see I told you. But a lot of people, I think, at this point, especially younger people, they're like, I don't need that validation from the government because they consistently lie to us, and I know they exist already.
Yeah, I got a feeling that if something like that were to come out, there would be some panic and would be people that are worried. I mean, there's people that get worried for, COVID, and that's, something more real, that we're dealing with. And I could see maybe people having the unknown of UFOs making it to where they might overreact and get crazy. And who knows? Maybe kind of start storming the gates of everywhere. Trying to get toilet paper to hold them up.
I mean, what's the worst we're gonna do? Yeah, buy a shitload of toilet paper and go see. They're
Right.
coming to get us. I mean, but I don't know, man. Since I read UFO news in like aliens to where we are now with the last like 5 6 years with this interdimensional shit. I mean, I can't I can't keep up with it. It's just my mind's like, God damn, what's next? Like with the DMT and meeting interdimensional people and like some other groups have talked about it and it's just fucking interesting, like I can't do it justice. All I know is when Joe Rogan talks about it, how many dimensions that we know about. I think we're in the third dimension, if I remember correctly, and there's dimensions fourth and fifth, and the government's trying to reach some other ones. I don't know. Noel might know something about it more, but that's like some mind fucking blowing shit when you start looking into it and like with our limited knowledge. Like, and I think the average American or the average human is not going to be able to comprehend.
I think it's difficult, man. It's difficult for the unknown scares a lot of people. Um, I think that's why even some people get scared away from religion, is that a lot of it is unknown and you have to take it kind of for what it is, or have kind of like a leap of faith. And so I think that's why, if if it were to come to be some kind of alien form would sit down right in front of our yard, it would freak some people out.
I wish that that would come, because I want to see, me being the conspiracy nut that I am, how much shit would just come from people saying this is all bullshit, it's doctored, it's fucking CGI, it's a hologram, and it's really the devil. I mean, I just want to see that at this point, just for entertainment. Because I went through every fucking regarding to aliens. I remember under Obama, I was like 99% sure Obama was going to disclose that aliens were real. It never happened.
Right.
I remember going through reading stuff about how aliens are demons. And this guy laid out this case. He put a book out. He had videos on it, and I read all this. The Nephilim, and they talk about them in Genesis. And when people see aliens, they have this scent. There's this and that. Like, this is all signs of demons. And then I went into the aliens are us from the future. They're trying to warn us. It just keeps going and morphing into something different. Like, I'm just like, damn, man. Just when you think you have it, you have some understanding, they change the shit. And I'm like thinking, how much of this is bullshit? How much of this is true? And at some point in my old age now, I'm just like, I want somebody to, a government official, to wheel one out and then just go, here they are, because I want to see how the news media reacts to it. I want to see how the pundits react to it. I want to see how the internet reacts to it. I want to see how the conspiracy nuts react to it. It'll be never ending nonsense. This momentous moment, if it is real, everybody's gonna start shitting on it. Some people are gonna criticize it. They're gonna say it's a negative, a positive, or it's all BS.
Yeah, I think you just like the havoc, Andy. You just want to see the chaos of people's reactions. I think that's what you want to see.
Well, absolutely. I mean, because we all have our own beliefs. I mean, as humans, we believe. That's why we have faith, religion, because that's something you can't really see. It's something you have to just faith. I mean, that's literally the word faith. You got to believe into it. And going to how crazy the world is right now, especially in America, especially in the last 5-6 years. I mean, even going back to to Bush with the wars. I mean, us being old then, I mean, we've seen a lot of crazy shit. When the government's involved, we've seen it at its peak and in some valleys, and where it is right now. I mean, and for one thing that's always been consistent, there's always been conspiracies, and there's always been people saying that it's all bullshit.
Yeah, the government definitely does do a lot of sneaky stuff. I mean, even like right now for this COVID vaccine, there's a lot of people that are really anti-vaccine, because they know what the government is capable of,
and they have a track record of it.
Right,
I mean,
right.
they've admitted it, and like, so we know they have it. They admitted it, and then when they push a narrative, I mean, I want to get down that road, but I mean, do your own history. What the government has done in the U.S. government, especially, has done for science, and what it has done to people, it's pretty fucking scary. But the only thing, like, going back, just to wrap it up a little bit, the one that really caught my eye, Dan, I remember you talked to me about it a little bit, the 9/11 stuff, where someone said that the planes were holograms. Did you
Right.
remember you kind of talked to me and I saw some of these videos? They were pretty fucking convincing, man. And like, the explosion is right here and this plane. Look how it shifts here. You can see like a fucking square. And I'm just like, man, this motherfucker's convinced this is holograms. And to me, that's just like, damn, man, like that's some shit that you're throwing out there, and you got to be pretty convinced to put this on a video and put it out to the world. And even though I'm 99% sure it's bullshit, that took some balls to put that fucking information out.
Right. And like you said, some of it, I think for the most part, it is kind of hokey, but it does make you think, man. There's a lot of CG shit that people can do. And the news is on a time delay. Nothing is live anymore nowadays. So if there
It's
was
definitely controlled.
yeah, if there's a delay, who's to say somebody couldn't superimpose something and realistically behind that airplane that they superimposed was a missile or something? It's totally possible.
It's like the deep fakes, right? Like that's
Right.
the new thing, right? Like, did you see they had one with Richard Nixon? They had the latest one with Tom Cruise that looked just like him, and I was like, damn. The only thing that was kind of weird was his voice, but that's the shit that they can do like today, and like they allowed to get out, and like, can you imagine what the fuck they got? So yeah, it is pretty scary what can be manipulated or fake now. But that's all the time we got for this week, man. Let us know your crazy rabbit holes that you went down when researching conspiracy, if you're that type of people, at ffnquestions@gmail.com. But that's all we got time for right now. So we want to, again, thank you all for listening. Remember, you can follow Freeform Network on Facebook and Twitter at Freeform Network. Send your questions, suggestions, your experiences with the COVID shot, if you got one, or why you're not getting one, or if you believe aliens are bullshit, whatever. We want to interact with our listeners because it brings a smile to my face. I don't know about Danny. He could get a little mean sometimes, like fuck them people, but nah. You can send them to ffnquestions@gmail.com. Again, check out our webpage, freeformnetwork.podbean.com. There you see all the links. I know Danny, our webmaster, put up some new stuff. Check it out. We're on there. Whatever platform you use, we're still on there. Like, subscribe, comment, share. We would appreciate that. That helps us out a lot. iTunes is still awesome. Stitcher, Podbean. So you know what to do, guys. Freeform Radio, we have Danny.
Yes, sir. People go out there, enjoy that weather, man. You never know when it'll start raining again, so enjoy it while we can.
And it's all good, Andy. We want to thank you for listening, guys, and we'll check you out next time. And then you guys have a good week.
That was cool, Dad.